The headshot landed flawlessly at 750 meters with a light crosswind, aimed at an elevated target hiding behind cover that would have shielded him from anyone firing from the valley floor, but Staff Sergeant Lena Carver wasn't shooting from below since she was locked in on a ridgeline that gave her a god's eye angle over the entire valley, and the enemy sniper who assumed he was unreachable just discovered the lethal gap between decent concealment and real cover as she watched through her scope. While he fell, never flinched, never moved again, the first confirmed kill with 7 more still on her list. Her spotter, Specialist Nolan Briggs, murmured the update: Sniper 1 down, 7 left, Rangers still pinned, 3 wounded, 2 Kia, and their time is nearly gone. Lena was already sweeping for her next target, her eye fixed to the glass, breathing steady and heart calm even with 12 Army Rangers bleeding out 800 meters below while hostile sharpshooters hunted them through a kill box. None of this was supposed to unfold like this because the intel brief claimed enemy presence would be minimal, the route should have been clear, and the Rangers were meant to slip through the valley unseen, gather intel on a high-value objective, and get out before anyone noticed them, yet instead they'd stepped straight into the most advanced sniper trap Lena had ever witnessed, with 8 enemy shooters arranged in overlapping fire lanes, each one a seasoned killer who'd been taking down coalition troops in this valley for over a year. They'd crafted the perfect ambush, waited for the Rangers to commit to the dried riverbed, and once they were fully exposed opened up with synchronized precision. First round took the pointman with a clean headshot, instant kill. Second shot struck the medic center mass, dead before he hit the dirt. Third round shredded the radio operator's shoulder and cut off their ability to call for support. And within 30 seconds an elite patrol had turned into a pinned unit getting torn apart by threats they couldn't see, locate, or fight back against. That was 4 minutes ago, and in that time Lena had pinpointed all 8 sniper sites, calculated distances from 650 to 850 meters, tracked shifting winds through multiple elevations, and committed herself to eliminating every one of them before another Ranger died. The enemy had numbers, entrenched positions, and surprise on their side, but Lena had something they lacked, because she'd been hitting targets at these ranges since she was 12, had fired more than 10,000 rounds in training from 600 to 1,000 meters, and carried the cold, disciplined precision born from growing up in the mountains of Sierra Ridge where a bad shot meant coming home empty-handed. Except today a bad shot meant Rangers died, and Lena Carver didn't miss. She'd already proved that with sniper number 1, now cooling on a rocky ledge 750 meters northeast, the same shooter who dropped the Ranger pointman and believed 3 feet of rock and expert camouflage made him untouchable, but he was wrong, and the remaining 7 were about to learn the same truth. Because when you're hunting American soldiers and a woman from Sierra Ridge is set on a ridgeline with an M110 and flawless firing solutions, your fortified hides turn into your graves. The radio burst with panic. Any station, this is Ranger 21, we are combat ineffective, 3 urgent surgical, unable to move without taking fire, if someone doesn't kill these snipers in 10 minutes we're dead, please advise. Lena keyed her radio, sounding steady and sure. Ranger 21, Overwatch, Sniper 1 is down, I'm working the problem, stay low, I'll have you clear in 15 minutes. They pushed back, Overwatch, there are 8 snipers, you're 1 person, how? And she answered, 15 minutes, Ranger 21, trust me, before letting go of the mic and settling back into her scope. Enemy sniper number 2 had just slipped and shifted to get a new angle on the Rangers, and that tiny movement was all Lena needed as her finger pressed 4 pounds of smooth pressure into the trigger. The M110 cracked, and 720 meters away sniper number 2 learned that moving while a better shooter is hunting you is the fastest path to dying. Before we walk you through how one female Army sniper dismantled an entire enemy sniper unit in just 18 minutes of precise controlled violence, jump into the comments with where you're tuning in from and hit subscribe, because what you're about to see shows the hard divide between trained and elite, between qualified and relentless, between someone who can shoot and someone who refuses to miss when American lives are hanging on the line. Staff Sergeant Lena Carver was raised in the remote reaches of Sierra Ridge, where her father operated a mountain hunting guide service near the Marston Peaks Reserve, and by age 12 she was reliably punching steel at 600 yards with his .308 Winchester, and by 15 she was guiding elk hunters and making shots that impressed men who'd been in the backcountry for decades. When she turned 18, her father sat her down and told her she could either take over the family operation or carve out her own future, and while Lena loved the mountains and the craft of precise long-range shots, she wanted to challenge herself with something far tougher than elk at distance. She wanted to know if she could make those shots when the target intended to shoot back. The army recruiter in Northvale nearly fell out of his chair when a 5'6" woman walked in saying she wanted to become a sniper, and he immediately launched into the physical standards, qualification hurdles, and the fact that almost no soldiers, male or female, ever make it through sniper school, but Lena listened quietly and simply asked when she could start the pipeline. 4 years later she had proven every skeptic wrong. She maxed her Army fitness test, finished Ranger School in the top 15% of her class, completed the Special Operations Interdiction course, and earned her sniper tab with the highest marksmanship scores in her cohort, though excelling in training is not the same thing as proving yourself under combat pressure. And despite her credentials, some soldiers still doubted whether a female sniper could hold up when the rounds were real. Dara province in Afghanistan was about to settle that debate permanently. Lena had been attached to the 5th Ranger Battalion for a deployment supporting special operations in one of the most contested regions, and her assignment was delivering precision overwatch for Ranger teams operating in steep terrain where long-range engagements were routine and enemy fighters exploited high ground every chance they got. She'd been on this mission for 6 days, a reconnaissance patrol tracking a high-value target moving through the mountains, while the Ranger element she covered consisted of 12 operators sweeping a valley system known for enemy presence, and although intelligence predicted limited resistance, that assessment was disastrously wrong. The ambush was executed with professional-level planning. The enemy sniper cell of 8 skilled marksmen who'd been active in Dara province for over a year had reviewed coalition movement patterns, mapped predictable routes, and stationed themselves throughout a dried riverbed valley with optimal angles and concealment, establishing overlapping firing lanes that turned the entire valley floor into a kill zone, with each shooter holding primary and alternate hides, prearranged sectors, and covered escape paths. It was an ambush that took weeks of preparation and tight coordination. When the Rangers entered the valley, the enemy allowed them to move in fully, 12 men spread across 200 meters of dried riverbed, disciplined and careful but unaware they were stepping into a meticulously prepared kill site. The enemy commander waited until every Ranger was in the ideal engagement window, then signaled the opening shots. Lena had been positioned on Overwatch 800 meters out, providing security for the team's movement, and from her ridgeline perch she had a clear view of the terrain and had been scanning non-stop for signs of danger. She caught the first muzzle flash a split second before the pointman collapsed, spotted the second flash that dropped the medic, and saw the third strike the radio operator, and her training surged to the front as she began scanning with structured precision for hostile positions, knowing muzzle flashes were her key to finding the enemy snipers. The enemy shooters were hidden well, but each time they fired they exposed themselves, even if only for a split second, and for someone trained to hunt snipers that tiny flash was more than enough. Within 90 seconds of the first round being fired, Lena had locked down 3 enemy locations with certainty and had strong clues about 4 others, and she was zeroing in on the 8th when the urgent radio call broke in. "Any station, this is Ranger 21, we are pinned by multiple enemy sniper sites, estimate 6 to 8 shooters with overlapping fire lanes, 3 casualties, no ability to move or push forward, requesting immediate sniper support or were combat ineffective." Lena keyed her mic at once. "Ranger 21, this is Overwatch, I have eyes on several sniper positions and am tracking additional shooters, I can engage now." There was a pause, likely the Ranger team leader realizing their only sniper support was just one person, then his reply came through sharp with pressure. "Overwatch, we need those snipers taken out immediately, we're taking hits and cannot maneuver, you are cleared hot on all hostile positions." Lena settled fully into her firing stance, her body shifting into the muscle memory built from thousands of repetitions. The M110 semi-automatic sniper system was loaded, safety off, scope magnification set. Her spotter, Specialist Nolan Briggs, crouched beside her on the glass, ready to call adjustments if she needed them. "First target, 750 northeast, rocky shelf, partial cover behind that boulder. That's the shooter who killed the pointman, he murmured, though Lena already had the location stored. She could see only the top of the sniper's head and the barrel of his weapon, barely 6 inches of viable target. Most shooters would hold for something cleaner, but Lena didn't have that luxury. She leveled her breathing, steadied her pulse, calculated wind at that distance, corrected for her elevated angle, brought the reticle onto the exposed portion of the sniper's head, and pressed the trigger with smooth control. The M110 cracked. The 7.62 round crossed 750 meters in just over a second, and through her optic Lena watched the enemy sniper's head snap back, his body collapsing instantly. A perfect headshot on a partially hidden target at that range. First kill confirmed. Nolan's voice stayed calm. Impact confirmed, sniper 1 down, give me range to the next. Lena was already shifting her scope, and the semi-auto M110 let her keep her sight picture and immediately scan for the next threat without lifting off to run a bolt. Second target, 720 east, tree lean, he's moving to a new position now. She caught the shift, an enemy sniper scrambling for better cover after hearing her shot. That movement sealed his fate. Lena swung smoothly, led him the right amount, factored the 720 distance, and fired. The sniper was mid-step when the round hit center mass, and he folded instantly. Second kill confirmed. The remaining 6 snipers were already reacting. Professional shooters who knew instantly they were being countered by a sniper started shrinking their profiles, limiting movement, and becoming harder to spot, but they were also locked into their ambush setup, and because their interlocking fields of fire relied on fixed angles they couldn't relocate without crossing each other's lanes or giving up their tactical edge, leaving them partly trapped by their own plan. Lena took ruthless advantage of that flaw. The third target had made a fatal mistake by firing 3 times from the exact same position without shifting hides, a classic error in long-range engagements, and Lena had tracked every muzzle flash and mapped his location in a rocky sector 680 meters southeast, waiting for his next shot. When his rifle cracked again she caught the flash instantly and returned fire, her round hitting his position less than 2 seconds later, and through her optics she saw him collapse over his weapon. Third kill confirmed, 5 snipers left. The rate of fire striking the Rangers was dropping steadily as the enemy shooters realized they were being hunted by a counter-sniper they couldn't detect. Overwatch, Ranger 21, we confirm 3 snipers down, excellent work, keep it coming, we've got wounded bleeding out down here. Lena didn't bother answering, she was already searching for number 4. This one was sharper than the others and froze completely after her last kill, refusing to shoot or move and trying to disappear into the terrain, but Lena had top-tier optics and years of reading imperfect hides. She scanned with disciplined precision, searching for anything unnatural. There, a shadow 700 meters north-northwest that didn't look quite right, vegetation slightly disturbed, a shape not matching the surrounding rock. She observed it for 45 seconds, verifying it was a constructed hide rather than a natural formation, staying patient and exact. Once she was certain, she dialed for range and angle, placed her reticle where a torso would be inside that hide, and fired. The sniper had been nearly invisible even through powerful glass, but perfect camouflage isn't enough to stop a 7.62 round moving at 2,800 feet per second. He jolted and slumped partially into view, his concealment undone by death. Fourth kill confirmed, 4 left. Now the remaining shooters began to adjust tactics. Their next rounds were rushed and sloppy, aimed at the Rangers but fired without exposing themselves properly, trading accuracy for a thin chance at survival, but it wasn't going to save them. Lena shifted her position 30 meters west, using the landscape to mask her movement. The enemy would have locked in her earlier firing point after her opening shots, and by relocating she forced them to search for her again while giving herself new angles on the battlefield. The fresh position opened up better sight lines to the northern routes, where she suspected 2 more snipers were hiding. She settled in, scanning carefully, when the faintest movement drew her attention, a tiny stir in the brush at 780 meters that most shooters would never notice. She tracked it, identified it as a sniper adjusting for a cleaner angle on the Rangers, calculated distance and holdover, and fired. The shooter had been creeping carefully, trying to improve his view while staying hidden, but Lena's round caught him mid-shift in the upper torso, sending him crashing down without moving again. Fifth kill confirmed, 3 to go. Incoming fire on the Rangers had nearly stopped now. The remaining snipers were focused entirely on survival. Overwatch, we've got 2 urgent surgical who need evac. Can you keep them suppressed while we move casualties? Lena keyed her radio. Ranger 21, negative on movement. I need 5 minutes to finish this. If you move now, the remaining snipers will fire on exposed personnel. Hold position, I'm removing final threats. She was already hunting number 6. This shooter was highly disciplined, hadn't fired in over 3 minutes, hadn't shifted, and was likely buried inside a carefully built hide with solid overhead cover. Finding him required a different method. Instead of seeking the sniper directly, Lena studied the landscape for indicators, light reflecting off a barrel differently than natural plants, texture inconsistencies in artificial camouflage, subtle signatures left even by the best hidden shooters. She focused on areas with strong concealment, good fields of fire toward the Rangers, and covered escape routes, narrowing the search, then looked for micro-anomalies. There, at 820 meters, an irregularity in the rocks, possibly a muzzle shadow or maybe nothing. She watched at maximum magnification, waiting for proof. The sniper made a minuscule adjustment, likely easing pressure from holding the same position too long, barely 2 inches of movement but enough to confirm it. Lena fired instantly at the point where his center mass would align behind what she believed was his muzzle. The shot pushed her weapon to the edge of its effective range, but her fundamentals were flawless and her rifle perfectly zeroed. The round struck the suspected rifle hide, the position shifted sharply, and she watched a body roll partway into view down the rocks. 6th kill confirmed at 820 meters, her longest shot of the mission. 2 enemy snipers remained, both in full survival mode after watching 6 teammates wiped out in less than 15 minutes by a counter-sniper they couldn't see, couldn't shoot back at, and couldn't escape without exposing themselves to her fire. The 7th sniper made the fatal choice to bolt from his hide. He abandoned cover and sprinted across open terrain toward protection 300 meters away, likely deciding that staying put meant certain death and running at least gave him a chance. It didn't. Lena tracked him with smooth precision, leading him correctly for a running target at 850 meters, factoring his pace and angle, and fired. The sniper was mid-stride when the round struck, sending him crashing to the dirt. He tried crawling toward cover, instinct driving him even while mortally hit, and she fired again, adjusting for his prone silhouette. He stopped moving. 7th kill confirmed. 1 sniper left, the final survivor of a team that had entered this valley convinced their ambush was flawless. He was either incredibly disciplined and still holding position or had already slipped away without Lena catching the motion. She scanned with meticulous attention, using her understanding of sniper behavior and tactical logic. If she were the last shooter, where would she hide? Somewhere with reliable concealment, solid escape paths, and a position that hadn't been compromised yet. She identified 3 likely hides matching those criteria and studied each one with calm, steady patience, no rushing, no assumptions, only deliberate examination. The 8th sniper exposed himself by firing one last desperate shot at the Rangers, either trying to kill another American before dying or hoping her return fire would reveal her position. His rifle cracked and the muzzle flash betrayed his location, 790 meters east-northeast in elevated rock formations with strong overhead cover. Lena had already flagged that area as one of her likely hides, now she had confirmation. She adjusted her aim, compensating for distance and angle. The sniper was well dug in with excellent cover, but she could see his head and shoulders above the rocks as he aimed down at the Rangers. She centered her reticle on the exposed profile, steadied her breathing one last time, and pressed the trigger with the same calm pressure she'd used 7 times already. The shot landed perfectly. The sniper dropped instantly, motionless. Eighth kill confirmed. Lena keyed her radio, her voice steady despite having wiped out an entire sniper team in 18 minutes. Ranger 21, Overwatch. All 8 sniper positions eliminated. You are cleared to maneuver and evacuate casualties. Battlefield cold. Threat neutralized. The reply came immediately, the Ranger team leader's voice filled with relief, shock, and raw gratitude. Overwatch, say your last again, did you say all 8 snipers are down? Confirmed, Ranger 21, 8 Kia, all sniper hides neutralized. You have a clear corridor south for casualty evac. I'll maintain Overwatch while you move. There was a brief pause, then, Overwatch. I don't know who you are, but that was the most unbelievable shooting I've ever seen. You saved 12 men. We owe you everything. Lena stayed behind her scope, watching as the Rangers emerged from cover and moved quickly but carefully to secure the area and prepare their wounded for evacuation. They had lost 2 men in the initial ambush before she could intervene, but the remaining 10 were alive, functional, and moving because one sniper on a ridgeline had dismantled the enemy team hunting them. She held her Overwatch position another 30 minutes, scanning for any residual threats until helicopters arrived to extract the Rangers with their injured and fallen. Only then did she safe her rifle, collect her brass, and begin the trek back toward the forward operating base with her spotter. Nolan Briggs finally spoke as they moved. 8 targets, 8 shots, 18 minutes, you realize that's going in sniper manuals forever. Lena didn't answer right away, she was processing the reality of taking 8 lives in under 20 minutes. They were enemy combatants actively killing Americans, and engaging them was fully justified, but that didn't erase the psychological weight. I did what had to be done, she finally said. Those Rangers needed someone to stop the snipers who were killing them. I was in position to do it, so I did. Nolan shook his head. You made it look effortless, 8 for 8, no misses, ranges out to 820 meters, different elevations, shifting winds, that's not just good shooting, that's legendary. She replied quietly, it's what we train for. Thousands of rounds at these distances, learning to read conditions, drilling fundamentals until they're instinct. When it counted, I simply executed what I'd drilled endlessly, but both of them understood it went deeper than repetition. Training covers the technical fundamentals of shooting, but what Lena displayed was something beyond coursework, an innate ability fused with unshakable calm under pressure, letting her operate at the absolute peak when lives depended on her. 8 enemy snipers eliminated, 10 Rangers saved, 18 minutes of precise, controlled violence. No misses. No need for second chances. A performance that would define an entire career and leave zero doubt that the deadliest sniper on any battlefield isn't determined by gender, but by mastery, discipline, and ice-cold execution when the moment demands it. The after-action review took place 2 days later at Northwall Airfield. Present were the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Colton Reddick, the Ranger Company Commander Captain Tyler Morrow, senior operations officers, and intelligence staff who had studied every detail of the engagement. The tactical map displayed the valley, marked with every point where Lena had taken her shots. Distances, angles, and sequencing were charted and examined. Colonel Reddick began the briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're reviewing what may be one of the most extraordinary counter-sniper engagements in modern military history. Staff Sergeant Carver, before we break down the tactical aspects, I want your perspective on how you approached the situation. Lena stood straight, uncomfortable with the focus but maintaining professional bearing. Sir, the Rangers were pinned by 8 enemy snipers with overlapping fields of fire. Standard counter-sniper doctrine is to identify hostile positions through muzzle flashes or movement, prioritize based on immediate threat to friendly forces, and engage with precision while avoiding revealing your own position to remaining shooters. You engaged 8 targets in 18 minutes, Reddick said. That's roughly 1 kill every 2.25 minutes. Explain how you sustained that pace while also locating well-concealed enemy positions. Sir, several elements allowed that tempo, Lena replied. First, the M110 semi-auto design let me maintain sight picture and immediately search for the next target without the delay of running a bolt. Second, I prioritized shooters who were actively firing at the Rangers. Their muzzle flashes exposed their hides. Third, after the fourth kill I shifted positions to get new angles on suspected hides, which revealed snipers I couldn't see from the original sight. Captain Morrow spoke next. Sergeant Carver, I've reviewed ballistic data from the recovered firing points. Your shot distances ranged from 650 to 850 meters across varying elevations and angles. You maintained a 100% first-round hit rate on 8 targets. How did you sustain that precision across such different conditions? Sir, fundamentals stay the same regardless of conditions. Every shot followed the same process: accurate distance estimation, proper wind reading, stable position, controlled breathing, consistent trigger press. My rifle was perfectly zeroed, my dope was up to date, and I'd rehearsed these scenarios thousands of times. When it mattered, I just performed what I'd already proven I could do. An intelligence officer added, Sergeant Carver, we've confirmed identities on 6 of the 8 snipers you neutralized. They belonged to a specialized cell operating in Dara province for roughly 18 months. This group was responsible for over 40 coalition casualties, both killed and wounded. They were seasoned, well-trained shooters who had avoided multiple attempts to track and eliminate them. Lena absorbed that. These weren't amateur fighters, they were experienced professionals who had been successfully targeting coalition forces for more than a year. Colonel Reddick continued, the Rangers you protected are alive because of your actions. We lost 2 in the initial ambush, which is tragic, but without your intervention we would likely be looking at 12 Kia in that valley, plus additional losses from any rescue attempt. I'm recommending you for the Silver Star for your actions. Sir, I was providing the sniper support I was assigned to provide, Lena answered. The Rangers needed those shooters gone, and I had the position and capability to make that happen. Sergeant Carver, Reddick said firmly, your assigned role was overwatch and security. What you actually accomplished was single-handedly dismantling an enemy sniper unit that had our Rangers pinned and was killing them methodically. You operated at a level that represents the absolute peak of the sniper profession, and that goes far beyond simply doing your assigned duty. It's extraordinary performance under combat conditions that directly saved American lives. When the official briefing wrapped up, Captain Tyler Morrow spoke to Lena privately. You need to understand what the Rangers are saying about you. I have a guess, sir. 3 months ago, some of those same Rangers were cracking jokes about having a female sniper attached to the battalion, saying you'd freeze under pressure, that women couldn't handle the mental or physical strain of combat sniping, that you were a diversity check who'd end up getting someone killed. Lena nodded. She'd heard all of it, the doubts, the comments, and chose to ignore them and put everything into her training. Now those same Rangers are requesting you by name. They're calling you the best sniper in the battalion, male or female. The guys whose lives you saved are telling anyone who will listen that if they're ever pinned again, you're the only one they want on Overwatch. I appreciate that, sir, but I'm not looking for recognition. I just want to do my job well and bring Rangers home alive. I know, Morrow said. And that's exactly what makes you exceptional. You're not trying to prove anything, you're just performing at the highest standard because that's who you are. Over the next months, Lena continued her deployment, providing sniper overwatch for Ranger missions throughout Dara province, but everything about how she was viewed inside the unit had changed. The Rangers who once questioned whether a woman belonged in combat now considered her one of their most valuable assets. Planning sessions were built around her capabilities, commanders requested her specifically for dangerous tasks, and the battalion's unofficial nickname for her became the Angel, because she protected Rangers from above and delivered death to anyone threatening them. One of the Rangers she'd saved, Staff Sergeant Michael Torres, approached her in the base gym. Sergeant Carver, I need a word. What's going on, Torres? I was one of the 12 in that valley. I was 10 feet from Davis when he got hit, the pointman killed in the first seconds. I saw Chen go down right after. I thought we were all dead in that riverbed. Then I heard on comms that all 8 snipers were down, and I couldn't believe it. One shooter taking out 8 enemy snipers in under 20 minutes. Lena listened as genuine emotion crossed his face. I want to thank you for saving my life. And I owe you an apology. I was one of the guys cracking jokes about having a female sniper. I said women couldn't handle the pressure. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Apology accepted, Torres. Skepticism is normal, this job requires proof, not promises. I'd rather earn respect than demand it. Well, you've earned more than that. You know what we say now? If Carver's on Overwatch, we're untouchable. That's the confidence you've built. We trust you with our lives because you've shown you won't ever fail us. Lena appreciated the words but understood the weight behind them. That level of trust meant every future mistake would be magnified, every miss questioned. The pressure to stay perfect was enormous, but pressure was part of the profession. Every shot mattered. Every engagement meant life or death. There was no room for almost or close enough. If a sniper failed, someone died, and that failure stayed with you forever. She had made 8 shots that meant more than any others in her life, 8 shots that let 10 Rangers go home instead of returning in flag-draped coffins, 8 shots that proved she belonged exactly where she was. 6 months later, back in the United States, Lena stood in her dress uniform as Colonel Colton Reddick pinned the silver star onto her chest. Her father stood beside her, tears streaming down with pride. Her mother, who had spent every day of the deployment terrified of losing her daughter, cried with relief and joy. Snipers from across the army attended, knowing Lena's achievement represented the highest level of their profession, flawless performance under maximum stress when lives depended on it. The citation was read aloud. Staff Sergeant Lena Carver demonstrated extraordinary heroism and unmatched combat skill by engaging and eliminating 8 enemy snipers who ambushed and pinned a Ranger element. Operating from an exposed position and facing a professional enemy sniper team, she systematically identified and engaged targets from 650 to 850 meters, achieving 100% first-round effectiveness. Her precision, tactical judgment, and unwavering courage under fire saved the lives of 10 Rangers and destroyed a high-value enemy sniper cell. Her actions uphold the highest traditions of military service and bring great credit upon herself, the sniper community, and the United States Army. After the ceremony, a young woman in uniform approached Lena. She looked no older than 19, fresh out of basic, carrying the same uncertainty Lena had once felt 4 years earlier. "Ma'am, I want to be a sniper like you, but everyone keeps telling me it's impossible for women, that we're not strong enough, not mentally tough enough, that we'll fail when it matters. Did you ever doubt yourself?" Lena saw herself in that young soldier, remembering the early days when she questioned whether she belonged, whether she had what it took, whether the doubters were right. "Every single day," Lena said honestly. "Doubt is normal. What matters is what you do with it. You can let doubt stop you, or you can turn it into fuel, train harder than everyone else, shoot more rounds, study more tactics, and build skills so strong that doubt doesn't matter anymore." "Were you scared when you were engaging 8 enemy snipers who were hunting you back?" the young soldier asked. "Fear shows up in every fight," Lena replied, "but I'd trained for that scenario thousands of times. When the moment came, I trusted my training, trusted my gear, and executed what I'd already proven I could do. Fear doesn't matter when your skills are automatic." "How do you deal with having killed 8 people? They were alive, and now they're not because of you." Lena had asked herself that question many times. She'd worked with counselors and a chaplain to process the weight of taking lives. "You focus on why you did it," she said quietly. "Those 8 enemy snipers were killing American Rangers. Good men were bleeding out in that valley, hunted by professionals. I had the training, the angle, and the ability to stop it, so I did. I carry the weight of the 8 I ended, but I also carry the weight of the 10 I saved. When I balance those scales, I know I made the right choice." And I'd make it again tomorrow if I had to. The young soldier absorbed every word, then came to attention, saluted sharply, and walked away with new determination in her eyes. Lena watched her leave and reflected on the path that had brought her here. She'd started as a girl in the mountains of Sierra Ridge who loved hitting distant targets. She became a soldier wanting to test herself in real combat, and she proved herself as a sniper who could perform at the highest level when American lives depended on it. 8 enemy snipers had believed they'd crafted the perfect ambush, 8 professionals who'd been killing coalition forces for more than a year, 8 marksmen controlling the high ground and pinning Rangers inside a kill zone. What they didn't know was that somewhere on that ridgeline was a 5'6" Army sniper from Sierra Ridge who had been preparing for that exact moment since she was 12. And when she finally had them in her glass, while Rangers were dying and she was the only barrier between survival and massacre, she didn't hesitate, didn't miss, and didn't need second chances. 8 targets, 8 shots, 8 kills, 18 minutes. The kind of performance that proves beyond all doubt that when Rangers are pinned and enemy snipers believe they dominate the field, the last thing they ever expect is a woman who simply never misses. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to Captain Joe's Stories for more powerful tales of courage.